It's a sign that you want to communicate with us.
Nothing.
The first behind-the-scenes shots from The Conjuring Last Rites are out, giving fans a sneak peek at the return of the main cast. This movie will be the final chapter in James Wan's hit horror franchise. The pics, shared on Instagram, show Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga back in action as Ed and Lorraine Warren, the paranormal investigators they've portrayed for over a decade. Their first turn as the iconic couple was in The Conjuring, which told the story of the Perron family's haunting. Wilson and Farmiga have also popped up in spin-offs like Annabelle Comes Home and The Nun 2. However, it's still unclear if they'll show up in any future Conjuring-related projects, since neither Wan nor New Line Cinema have confirmed anything about future cameos. It is being directed by Michael Chavez, with a screenplay from Ian Goldberg and Richard Nang, the writers behind The Autopsy of Jane Doe. The story was crafted by James Wan and David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick. Chavez, who also directed The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It in 2022 and The Nun 2 in 2023, becomes the first director to take the reins on multiple films in the billion-dollar franchise. It was recently revealed that Bohemian Rhapsody's Ben Hardy and The Beast Must Die's Mia Tomlinson will be the newest cast members, joining Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson in the fourth installment. Plot and character details are still being kept under wraps. In a past interview, Chavez shared why he thinks the Conjuring movies are so popular and why they become one of Warner Brothers' biggest franchises. He pointed out that a big part of their success comes from the heart in the films. There are characters you really care about, and there's also the element of faith, he explained. Faith is always a part of these films, sometimes more directly than others, but it's the mix of those three things that forms the holy trinity of the universe. Co-producer Wan recently posted a photo from the set of The Conjuring Last Rites on Instagram. The image shows the chairs of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, with their character names stitched on the backs. In the caption, Wan reflected on the experience, saying it's always great to catch up with old friends and that he'll miss everyone, as the film represents the end of an era. Now the big question is how this end of an era will unfold. Well, there are a few great ways The Conjuring 4 could wrap up the franchise and the Warren story. Starting with an appearance by familiar faces like Annabelle, it's time for the Warrens to confront one of their most infamous foes once again. The success of the Conjuring series has led to spin-offs like Annabelle and The Nun, which have expanded on two of the franchise's most iconic villains. Annabelle, in particular, is one of the most memorable aspects of the series, and it would be a real missed opportunity if the Warrens didn't get one final showdown with this creepy, visually distinct enemy. Bringing Annabelle back in The Conjuring 4 would be a perfect way to wrap things up and strengthen the connection between the spin-offs and the main series, especially if the Annabelle franchise continues. Another important aspect to wrap up in The Conjuring Last Rites is Judy's coming-of-age story arc. One of the ongoing elements in the Conjuring films has been the growth of Ed and Lorraine Warren's daughter, Judy. A kind-hearted girl, Judy shares her mother's supernatural abilities and has had her own struggles with the paranormal. She was played by Sterling Gerrans in The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2, then recast with McKenna Grace in Annabelle Comes Home, which centered on Judy's challenges at school as the daughter of famous demonologists. Although Judy's return hasn't been officially confirmed for The Conjuring Last Rites, it would be surprising if she didn't make an appearance. Her development from a young girl into a young woman has been a key part of the series, and bringing her back would provide a stronger connection to the earlier films. Plus, it could tie the film to Annabelle Comes Home, and possibly set up her involvement in bringing Annabelle back into the story. Moving forward, we could also see the Warrens training new demonologists, which might be the key to the future of the Conjuring franchise. In real life, Ed and Lorraine Warren trained other demonologists, including Dave Considine, founder of Phantasm Psychic Research, and their nephew, John Zaffis. This could be a great story direction for the next film, especially since the Warrens are getting older and have faced many close calls, like Ed's heart attack in The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It. The Conjuring Last Rites could focus on the legacy of Ed and Lorraine, particularly in the world of demonology. Introducing new characters could pave the way for the series to continue without the Warrens, expanding the universe. It could also tie into a potential coming-of-age story for Judy, with her learning the full scope of her parents' skills and knowledge. This would be a powerful way to honor the impact the series has had on the horror genre while setting up the future of the Conjuring universe. Another idea could be for the Conjuring 4 to tackle one of the Warrens' most famous cases, the Snedeker House. This former funeral home, investigated by the real-life Warrens in 1986, was claimed to be infested with demons. While it inspired the 2009 film The Haunting in Connecticut, directly tying it into the Conjuring universe could make for a perfect final challenge for Ed and Lorraine. Given the themes of the Conjuring films, the Snedeker House could be an ideal setting for the series' conclusion. The fact that it was reportedly possessed by multiple demonic forces makes it a much more dangerous environment than the usual single threat seen in previous films. Facing an overwhelming number of demons at once would ramp up the stakes and provide a dramatic climax. It could also be reimagined to highlight the true power of Valac, showing how this malevolent force might influence and control other demons in a grand finale. Next up is the return of Valac, the franchise's ultimate villain. Valac has been the closest thing to an overarching antagonist in the Conjuring universe. The demon first appeared in The Conjuring and has been the main threat in The Conjuring 2 and The Nun, even playing a more subtle role in films like The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It, where it acted as a puppet master behind the scenes. Given Valac's ongoing hatred for the Warren family, it makes sense for the demon to make an appearance in what might be the final chapter of their story. As the Warrens approach the end of their careers, Valac could see it as the perfect time to exact revenge or stop them from training new demonologists. Considering Valac's significant role throughout the series, it would be hard to imagine The Conjuring Last Rites without the demon making one final appearance to challenge the Warrens once again. And finally, The Conjuring Last Rites should explore the fates of the Warrens' allies and other key characters from the franchise. This would be a great way to tie all the films together one last time. While Ed and Lorraine have always been the focus, they've had help along the way from people who also had to face off against powerful demonic forces. Characters like Mary Ellen and Daniela gave viewers a grounded perspective on the supernatural, while Drew Thomas was a consistent ally in the first two films before disappearing from the spotlight. The Nun films, too, featured Sister Irene in her own battle with Valac. Bringing these characters back in the final film could help flesh out the universe and provide more depth during the Warrens' last adventure. Drew could have become one of the Warren students, starting his own fight against demons. Characters like Mary Ellen, Daniela, or others the Warrens have helped could show the lasting impact of their encounters with the supernatural. Plus, a team-up between the Warrens and Sister Irene would be a thrilling crossover, making for an exciting way to wrap up the franchise.